Hi all you wonderful YouTubers. This is a little video about killing animals and butchering because I've had many comments on the video, especially the one about halal butchering, and some people are just very almost aggressive and very negative, and I just delete their comments. And some people are actually quite relieved because I talk about this subject, and I just want to go into this, why I made the film, and also just the whole thing about killing our animals for food and maybe for other things. Yeah. So one thing I I wanted to do with these channels when I started was something that came in my own development, or sort of as I grew through life, was very much to spread the message that there's no religion that's wrong. And one thing that's very strong in the Western world is the negativity towards Muslims. And we just have this, in many people who aren't Muslims, we have this very, very deep, almost aggression towards them, so that everything that has to do with Muslims is bad. And this is one of our huge problems, really, as humans, that we have these religions or coloured people, whatever it is, locked into these boxes where some we hate, some we love. It's usually the ones who are like us that we love, the ones who are not like us we hate. And all this is part of my job with these channels, to try to soften up all this hatred and aggression we have towards each other. Because when we stop hating people and hating religions, and just dare to let that hatred go, and we look deeper into what is actually their belief and what is actually going on, most religions are really full of love and full of compassion, and they're very healthy. But that you have to go to the core of the religion, because most religions have taken some very, very the sacredness of life, the beauty of life, and the whole idea of being good as humans, and they've distorted it and made it into something very, very bad. And so we just have all this religious wars and all this going on. So that's one part of this, to just help whoever's ready to soften up the hatred, and to maybe let the hatred completely go, and to realize that there's no such thing as a bad religion, really, when you go deep enough. So that was one of the reasons why I have talked about Muslims in a positive way, so because that's what I felt I wanted to share. And the other thing is that I actually had this experience with the halal butchering on our little farm, that was very surprising to me, because I had that belief that halal butchering was actually really not a very nice thing, and it was very surprising to me that it was actually it turned out to actually be a very beautiful experience. So that's why the video is called that, because it became a beautiful experience, seeing man and beast, man and animal, together in such a way that was very it really was sacred, a sacred act, full of humility and love, really. And so let's go into the whole thing of killing, which is not easy to talk about, because when we look into nature, and I sit here in my little wagon, living here, I look out onto the birds. My first thought isn't, let me go out and get a knife and kill that bird, because it's so beautiful. And this life form that's there in front of you, it's so beautiful to watch it unfolding. You don't want to kill it. So it is not something that is it is a part of a human life that, as I see it, we have to find a way to manage so that it doesn't become stressful for us. Because as it turns out, after the millions of years we've been living on Earth, human beings have needed to kill animals for food. And so our relationship to animals was very different when we were, if we didn't kill the animals, we would starve. And we needed to kill the animals to survive and to thrive. They were important for our, completely important for our survival. And to kill an animal, as you see in the old the oldest paintings, cave paintings, are nearly all about killing animals. It's hunting. This was a major part of our lives. It was the foundation of life, to hunt and kill. And see what was going through the minds of our ancestors who were out there with their spears and clubs or whatever they were doing to kill these animals. Were they thinking, I want to kill this animal because I hate this animal, this is really a bad animal? What was going through their head? Well, they definitely had a completely different way of thinking than we do, because we have moved away from this very close contact with killing animals and food and all this. I think they had great respect for these animals, and I think it was holy for them to. It was a sacred act. They felt it was a sacred act, and they felt humility, and they felt deep gratitude that this animal was there for them to survive, and their children could live on, and all this. I think they had. That's just my idea. They had, and the reason why they actually had it. Painted it in these paintings, I think is that, yeah, they had they probably didn't have great feelings, but they just had this this deep respect and honor. So they didn't enjoy the killing, and they didn't enjoy the suffering of the animal. They didn't want the animal to suffer. A healthy human does not want an animal to suffer, because they know that that animal and we are really one. We don't want to see suffering. It's not pleasant if you're a healthy human. But you wanted to see the animal dead so that you could eat it. So I think, yeah, going back to the Muslim way of butchering, where they going from the spear killing and to the Muslim way, the halal way. Of course, a lot had happened in human history, because when we were hunter-gatherers, we didn't have animal husbandry. We weren't close to the animals in our daily lives. So the act changed, of course, because these animals were in our care, the animals that we killed. They were not wild animals. So we could catch them and put them down. We could handle them because they were tame animals. But what I feel really is what the Muslims, and I think really in all traditions, when we started having animal husbandry, we wanted to keep that sacredness and that honoring of the animals as we had as hunter-gatherers. We wanted to keep doing this. We did not wish for the animals to suffer, and we wished to honor the animal, although it was going to die. And also to help our own situation as humans, that we've been keeping this animal, looking after this animal since it was a baby, and now it's big and it's ready to be killed. That to handle that, whatever emotions were there, we needed to bring in God and all this sacredness, to really find that place within us. When the Muslims or our ancestors, whoever, whatever religion it was, when they went out to kill the animal, they did not wish to hurt the animal and make the animal suffer, but they wished to get some food for their family. So the more, that's how I see it, the more that we could, our ancestors could bring in God, bring in the sacredness of this act, the better they could feel about killing them, the more peaceful and the more harmonious the whole thing was. So that was, yeah, the whole human aspect of this, that how do we handle killing. And I want to make this clear, I don't enjoy the fact that I have, sometimes I've butchered one of my cows. I don't enjoy it, I cry. I think it's difficult. It's not something I wish to do, but out of all these different options there are of keeping the animal all its life, which I couldn't do because I didn't have the physical circumstances for it or the money to feed the animal, I chose to butcher the animal, and it's not a fun thing to do. It's something that, like other things that are difficult in life, it's something that I have to handle, yeah, the best I can. And understand. And so let's go to the, as one of you wrote to me, which I haven't commented, who wanted to have a discussion with me. So I'll just try to shine some more light on this, because he asked, how about looking at from the aspect of the animal? And this is where we go into much more into spirituality, and the fact that we are all soul, we are all spirit, and we have come into matter. So this is, I'm just sharing what I believe and I feel is true, and it might not be right for you at all. So let's just see. This is how I see it. Every single thing on this planet, alive or not alive, this thing, this is a jumper, from the wool from my sheep, it has some sort of spirit, it has some sort of, it is some sort of a being that's come into this form. It sounds quite abstract, but we can take all the living beings to make it a little bit more understandable. Every single living being on this planet has some sort of a soul. It all comes from God, and it all returns to God. And in spirit, we're not on the earth as really, we're sort of in spirit. And when we come into an animal form, an insect, whatever it is, even the water is alive, the plants, we decide to come into earth and be this form. So our spirit, in however an animal spirit is, it is one type of consciousness. And it decides to come to earth to have an experience on earth. And we're completely conscious when we do this, although we're an animal. So a spirit that comes to be a cow knows that it will not be able to live as a wild animal, because they can't do that anymore. There's not space for them. There are not wild cows anymore. They've become a tame animal. And so they know on a spiritual level that they've come for a while to be amongst humans who are going to care for them and who are going to butcher them at some point. Because that's the way a cow's life is. Unless it's with people who don't kill and just keep them till they die naturally, which is very, very rare, but it does happen in Hindu cultures. They don't kill the cows, and the cows roam the streets, but they need to find food that humans have left lying around, so they're still not really wild animals. So as I see it, the cow actually knows what's going to happen, and knows that one day it's going to be butchered in most cases, and the thing is, in our spiritual being, we have no fear of death. There's no fear of death because we know we're just going to return to where we came from. So the whole thing of, oh my God, I'm going to die, does not exist in our spirit. And as all these near-death experiences say and show, it's actually a very beautiful experience to return to where we came from, to spirit, and leave our bodies, because we're not in this heavy form anymore. And people who can communicate with animals, with their spirit, they all tell us that there's no fear of death in animals. They don't fear it. But what is important is the way we treat them and how we connect with them. That's what is important for them. But even the fact that there are many animals on the earth now who are treated horrendously in the way they're in the factory farming and all this, but still they come to earth to have an earthly experience they know is going to actually be very, very, very uncomfortable. And still they do it because it's part of their spiritual evolution. So they choose it. So there's nothing that really goes wrong. But as I see it, for each person who buys food, who cares for animals, it's up to us to really ask ourselves, what do I want to support? Do I want to support a very bad way of treating animals, and do I want to get my food from animals who have been treated really badly? Do I feel good about that? Or do I want to get my products from animals who've had a good life and who've been treated well till the end? And the animals I care for, how do I want to treat them? And the animal will love you although you beat them. I mean, no matter what humans do, animals really are bringers of love and compassion towards us humans, who are very often very screwed up in our heads. So that's how I see it. The animals have actually put themselves on our path, and some of us have more animals in our lives, and as I see it, they're really masters of love, and they're helping us grow. And they have no problem when we butcher them. It's not a problem. I mean, an animal who comes in as a cow or a dog, a spirit who comes in as a dog, knows also that this is a different way. You're usually not butchered after 3, 4, 5 years, because a dog is a human companion in it's a different way. But if the human has to put the animal down, there's no anger towards us. They love us. The animals love us. So this is just to share with you how I see it. Everything is spirit. Everything really is God, because God is omnipresent. So the cow I have, Mary, she is an aspect of God. It's God who's in there, having an experience as a cow. And there's no problem when I have to call the butcher. I know that in my life I can't sell her and she has to go to the butcher. There's no problem. It's not a problem. So because God is peace and love, and all is harmony, and we humans have been given the opportunity and the enormous responsibility to take care of animals and do it our way. And however we choose to, if we choose to show compassion to the animals, of course we are rewarded in a way, or it's good. And if we choose to be mean towards animals and treat them bad, of course it will affect our lives. So this is just to say that how I see it, that all is well, and that the animals in our care, they accept and love us, and that the whole thing of butchering and killing is not a problem for the animals. So yeah, this is just yeah, I wanted to share this because so many of you write and want to know more about this, and If you can use it, that's good, and if not, that's okay too. So take care, my friend.